Welcome back to the Notes in the Garden podcast. We have a very exciting and fun episode today. As more states open up, we seem to be moving more into an environment where we can do stuff in person. But our teachers, they're all still teaching in an array of different ways. Some are teaching online, some are doing socially distanced classes outside, some are doing socially distanced classes inside, and then others are just teaching the regular old way. We thought it'd be good to look at some fun ways of adapting the activities that have worked really well for online, and then also may want to consider using this in person now, kind of like the things that you're going to take with you that you've learned from teaching online. Today I have my usual cohorts and suspects here. Ellen Johansen. How you doing, Ellen?
Doing well today, thank you.
Excellent. And Amy Rucker.
Hello.
Hello. All right. And we also have our very first guest on the show. This is Mary Rekers from the Wyoming Fine Art Center in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Hi, Jeff.
Hey, welcome to the show, Mary. So, very first guest. Are you excited, Amy? Are you excited, Ellen?
Yes.
Yes.
I can't wait. Yeah, it's fun to have Mary here.
So, Mary, could you tell us a little bit about yourself? How long you've been teaching? How long you've been teaching Musikgarten? Tell us about the organization you teach with.
I am the director of the Music Kids program at the Wyoming Fine Art Center, which is a northern suburb of Cincinnati, Ohio. And I have been teaching Musikgarten for 28 years, ever since Lorna first came out with her trainings in Cycle the Seasons. Before that, I also was teaching, and I was a general classroom teacher, 2nd grade, 6th grade, in music classroom. So I have been at studio work and small group teaching, which I just adore. I love that energy. And I just had no desire, Jeff, to go back into the general classroom after I had small studio classes. It was so lovely. So,
yeah, before the show we were talking, it seems like you're from the class of, what, 93, I think, when it comes to Lorna Higa training. So that was really at the cusp of kind of the split in the beginning of Musikgarten. So you're really from the first stages, yeah. So.
That's right. That's right.
I think she's got both of you beat, doesn't she, Amy and Ellen? Well, pretty close, anyway.
We tie.
We tie. Okay.
Yeah, I think they tie. Yeah, I think, and I jumped on.
I did with Lorna in, let's see, my son is 89, 90, somewhere in there. I did kinder music training with her and have just followed her as she turned into Musikgarten. So never looked back.
Yeah,
I did a similar thing. I took the old curriculum training in, I think it was 89 or 90, right around in there, and but then jumped onto Musikgarten after my first was born in 96. So that's right when I was coming back into teaching. Well, at least getting her into a babies class. So babies was my first training with Lorna in the new curriculum.
Yeah, I've been around since June of 98. So it's always fun to talk about the old days, because now especially with COVID, doing online teaching, things that we would never thought about doing before, it's good to kind of remember the old way of doing things in some ways. But it
shows the evolvement of this program, because remember, Lorna always said this is a resource, not a scripted program, and a true resource can be adapted to any situation. Even though last year it seemed though, oh my goodness, now I'm looking back and thinking, what a great learning curve this has been for my studio.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I have learned so many things we're going to take with us. It will never be the same. I really, truly believe things will change quite a bit going forward in terms of teaching in private studios, because I can also see already that there's a place to continue to do online classes, even when things are all settled down. There's a place for it. And I think we learned so much this past year. We know how to go forward doing that.
Excellent. So before we jump into some fun activities, let's just think about, did you, when you were considering online and after you got into teaching online, were there some guidelines that you thought through before you adapted or after you started adapting the lessons, the activities? So Ellen, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, so the first thing that hit us all was this feeling in person of having a group of families, and suddenly we now had individual families, but we were teaching in a group. And that shift was in how I think helped us to really look at that individual family and the feedback you got from the individual family within their home space. And so my guideline for this is to look at what they're offering to you in that space and then use it. So an example would be, hi everyone, I have a shaker. Do you have something in your home that shakes? I bet you could find some. I'll shake mine while you're doing it. Would you go find one right now? And oh my goodness, what a different experience. Off they go, parents going, they come back, they're showing me it, they're giving me the sound, we're comparing the sound, and then we're using the sound. That could never have happened in my studio, because the only way it could have happened is if they brought something and inevitably someone forgot, or if I bring out my shakers and then they're scrambling through, and that's just not the same. So that individual family, but a group participation became a new exciting norm. What do you think, guys? Did you have that same thing?
Absolutely. I'm thinking of something similar to that, Ellen, with when we would do some rocking activities, you know, and the children, I would say, can you go find your favorite little stuffy? And everybody runs off. So instead of putting out a basket of little stuffed animals for the kids to choose from, they would all go run away and come back. And then they're all doing this. And my bear would be talking to their animal. Very different from the classroom studio setting. Very different.
Isn't it wonderful? Suddenly there's connection. And yet in the studio, we all know that when they would bring that animal in, inevitably everybody wanted that one. And so the whole class would be about mine. And then you couldn't get their hands free. But in this case, when they were done, it was fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about another general guideline? What about one thing we were talking about before the show was always trying to find a way for the parent or caregiver sharing the activity so that the child is focused on the parent or caregiver and not the screen.
That's been some of the most exciting and touching moments I think that I've encountered in the online experience was the spontaneous dancing between parent and child, and you could hear them laughing. And I just thought, wow, that's so great. And when you give them the opportunity to grab their grown-up, they usually want to do that. And if they don't, it's fine. They can go back to the, stuffy, I think, as you said. So yeah, I think it's been great to have the parent come in, and then it becomes, you really see that interaction between parent and child.
I totally agree. True. In the beginning, I did get some children who were and if the parent came over, they almost push them away. But that began to flip as the parent didn't want them to see the screen. You got a lot of parents, I don't want to do it because of the screen. And I would say, well, then just don't let them see the screen. Put it up high. You see the screen and you be with the child and have it almost only an oral event. And quite a few of my parents did choose that. And as a result, you began to see more of this parent to child interaction that sometimes is hard in the studio because we almost become that center. You know, they almost want to come and sit on your lap. They can't do that. Now it's just that parent or that caretaker who's willing to grab them and lift them up and watch the other. So there's a lot of modeling because they do have those other boxes to, oh, look how everyone's doing it. I think they're more, you know, in a class, but, and no, there are some who are, oh, I got it. So there are some who are sitting back going, oh, there's no way I'm going to do this in front of anyone. But in a box, in their home, they're safer. They're going to do it. Isn't that the funniest thing?
Yeah, I agree with that. Sorry, Mary, go ahead.
I was just going to say that, Ellen, that the one thing that I really saw a lot of was more freedom of movement on the part of the parents than I would see in the studio. And I think it was because they were less self-conscious about everybody else watching them throw the scarves and do big movements. So the movements that I saw in the families in their home setting was just much bigger and more free. And especially the after we got through about the third or the fourth week of doing the class, they really saw, oh gosh, I'm just a teeny tiny box over there. Nobody's really looking at me.
I totally agree.
Your classroom where you're like,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I had a babies class that had two dads. And the first class, I was watching one of the dads, and I thought, oh boy, I wonder what this is going to be like for him. Is he wondering why he is in this situation and why he has to be there with his baby? And I just watched those dads go to town, and they just had so much fun, and they moved all around. They did everything. And that was delightful. And I think sometimes when we're in person, I agree that sometimes there's some inhibition there, especially maybe from dads, but that was a beautiful thing to see.
Well, speaking from a dad's point of view, yeah, you do have apprehension when it comes to doing movement activities and doing these things. It's really funny listening to this conversation because when we jumped into this and we started talking about doing classes online because of COVID, the biggest thing that held people back was the screen.
Yeah.
I don't want my kid in front of the screen. The teachers are saying, I don't want to put kids in front of screens more than they need to be in front of. But now you're looking at the screen more as an advantage because it could put the child more at ease, and it could put the parent more at ease because they're more free to move without the apprehension of other people seeing them, you know? Yeah.
True.
I can talk for myself that, you know, being in classes with my kids and getting up and doing the movement stuff, it was something I had to make myself do. You know, my wife is probably much freer about it than I am, and that's just the way it is, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, admittedly, even on the screen, there would be some parents inevitably doing their texting. And even though you would have the orientation and the reminders, some people don't even realize they're doing it.
No,
Mm-hmm.
they don't think of themselves being seen.
Boom, boom, and that's usually what I would do. I say, as soon as I saw it, it was my cue to, it's time to stand up and grab your child and put them on your hip, because that means they can't text. It's really hard to text with a child on their hip. I say, so put down that phone on that floor and let's get going.
Yeah.
Re-engaged. You know, in my studio, I could say, oh, they go on the piano, but you can't do that. So there were some lines you couldn't cross when you were in their homes. No, you just had to wiggle around it. One of the great things we were just saying that we we did include movement. You know, we didn't drop the movement. Did you notice that I was watching other people's online early childhood music experiences, and I noticed a lot of teachers dropped the movement because I remember almost like we were like, oh, I'm on screen, I better not move. And it was hard to figure out how we were going to get the movement in. But now almost everything I do starts with the movement. Just because it's the most important part of what we're doing. So even if it's, you know, hey everyone, how is everybody? Clap, or rock with me. And before you know it, you could see everybody doing it. And then you segue in and then all of a sudden you're off, you know. So movement, just that general guideline, even more movement than we did in the classroom, which is hard to believe, but yeah.
I would have to say that's definitely true. I'm finding I'm doing more movement because I want to be sure that I'm keeping them engaged. And it seems like if there's too much downtime, that's when they'll start wandering away. So part of it, to me, the movement is really what's engaging. So we get them moving and we're singing. They are right there and they really stay with you. And I mean, there's other ways besides the movement, of course, but the movement was primary. And I felt like I was moving more during those 30 minutes or 35 minutes than I used to inside the studio.
Yeah, totally. And in fact, I think we got better sways in online because you could talk about going from edge to edge, and they really did it. And then we would do the one where we completely went off screen, you know, or Bebop Bootsaman, you know, actually tiptoed away at the end and everybody disappeared off of their cameras and they just thought it was the best thing. So yeah, I think it improved movement in many, many ways. So not only engaging, but just exploring the movements.
Yeah. So we're modeling all these movements and they have to be bigger. And I also found out talking less, because sometimes you're glitching. But if you're doing the movement, they're seeing it, you know, the high and low. And experimenting with the high move, and all of a sudden your arms are not in the camera. And but they're still, and you're seeing that the children they're trying to put their body into that box, you know. Oh yeah, I got it. Oh, what do I need to do to
get it on the
or space behind them? Where is that space? And then the modeling of less sound or whispered sounds becomes really fun. That hush, shh, hush, shh, somebody's calling your name. Oh, did you hear me whispering? Did you get really, really close? Boy, how close could they get?
They love to get very close. So you're looking at their eyeball. Yeah, it's pretty fun. But yeah, all the four voices can be explored even online. So you have, if you do that rhyme, this is my speaking voice and this is my whisper voice. They can still do all of that. This is my calling voice. And then of course this is my singing voice in the singing voice. But all of that can be explored even online, and it becomes even more of a personal connection.
Yes. I think one of the things that was really fun to be able to do and kept that engagement was to have something that was just slightly off to the side and bring it in suddenly too, you know, and just like coming close and saying, hey, I've got a secret. Make sure the parent doesn't come here. Just the kids. Come on over. And then start to say something, you know, you're going to go back and you're going to hide behind them. Okay, you ready, set, go. And then start some activity. But they really pay attention to that, and they would really come forward. Wait, I think she's talking to us, to me.
Better come in. We did that with the owl sound, because I always do that in the room where we call to the parents from our listening area. We'll go, whoo, 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 and then we listen to see if they'll answer. So if I saw a couple parents in the background, I would do that. I do the same kind of thing, like, okay, let's get together and we're going to call to our big owls, see if they're listening. And you would say it enough that the parent would sort of, it would get the corner of their ear. They'd be like, oh yeah. And it worked every time. We hoo-hoo-hooed. And from the kitchen, you'd hear the hoo-hoo, you know, coming back. It was great.
Yeah. Speaking of Bebop Bootsaman, because it's always harmless mischief, the child I was working with, mom insisted on being out of the room. So of course we had to create harmless mischief. So I would say, oh, do you want to do a Bebop Bootsaman with your mom? And he'd be like, oh yeah. I said, okay, it's time to call your mom in, but you know what to do. And he'd be like, yeah. And then he'd go running and hide behind the door. Harmless mischief. And she knew it. She knew he did this every time, but now was the Bebop Bootsaman, and she'd walk in and do the ah, and she'd go the ah, and I'd say, oh, we did a Bebop Bootsaman on you, didn't we? And then we go right into the song, and we get the knapsack, and they insisted on taking a scarf and filling it with instruments, and they'd pull out, and it became quite an event, and they had to get over their shoulder, and we're going around, and Dad is trying to figure this out, and they drop it and fly. Oh, you had a Bebop Bootsaman. Oh, yeah. And now they go around. Did I just have a Bebop Bootsaman? So you can take these ideas, add movement to them, and also pull in what's going on in these songs to. I just never did that in a classroom. I don't know why. Yeah. I was more like, we're doing Bebop Bootsaman now.
Right. Yeah. And I think it helps you think outside the box, you know, because you're constantly teaching and thinking how to keep them engaged in the moment. And that's it. You think of these things and it works. And some of that, what are you going to take back to the classroom? That's kind of where we are today, I think.
Yeah. I think on Bebop Bootsaman, we're going to keep hiding behind the couch, and we're going to keep pretending to do these things that they could do in their living room and in their kitchen.
Yeah.
To, you know,
yeah.
In that space. And let's go hide behind the couch. Come on, everybody. We all would just crouch down together, you know, on one side of the room like we were behind a couch.
Of course.
Right? Naturally.
I see that. Yeah. So it's just, you know, so much. And of course, then the other side of that is I'm finding more and more of asking the children for ideas from the very start. So many of my dances have completely changed just because I'm asking them to bring in new ideas. It just makes more sense. Like, did you ever see a lassie, a lassie, a lassie? Did you ever see, you know, Erica? And then Erica would do it. So there's just one example of really not being stuck with the curriculums. Now we do this and this and this, because some of them just don't work. Like in country gardens, it's really hard to do where we put our hands on top of each other. What's that called? The star. And yeah, so yes, so I'd say, well, what's another way we can go around each other?
Yeah.
And all right, let's incorporate that here. Oh, do you want to do it there instead? Okay, no problem. You know, we're going to go towards each other. What do you want to do when you go towards each other? Or if you have a single child, right? That's the idea, you know, of coming, using the space to really, or, which is kind of odd, but if there's a parent there, it makes it easier. But if you only have that one child, yeah. So, yeah. But Amy, you're the one who mentioned the idea of rehearsing the movement before the music, and you do it because of a logistical reason that once the music is on, they can't hear your voice.
Or my voice will cut out the music. So if I talk over my recording, the way I'm doing it, I've ended up with a boombox. So I've been using CD player. I started off with the computer, and that's the way I used to use it, you know, in person, was always through the computer. with my Bluetooth, but I found that problematic. I went to the CD. And so now we rehearse it, and we do it right here sitting. We'll go through the moves and we'll talk about what it is. And I'll do that in a moment with you, with all of you. And then we'll stand up. I will start the music, and then it's just the dance. I'm not going to talk over it the way sometimes in the classroom you'll have, you give little reminders here and there. I find I can't do that because it's making the music cut out. So get it ready, get up, do it, model it, and they'll do it right with you.
Yeah, and so that gets us more disciplined about not talking over the music, which we tell them not to do all the time, and yet who's the worst offender? So
well, yeah, it's true. We try not to, and maybe this is a good opportunity for us to experience it, truly not talking, truly not helping as they go, just model, and let's take that back to the classroom.
One of the things about that is feeling like you have to be sure that you have adequately prepared them with like the parts of the story, and can you rise up from this position so slowly, looking for the sun, and really rehearsing beforehand the movements that go with a story, and then going through it maybe small first with let's listen and here comes, and then moving into the gross motor, big motor movement after we really, it feels to me like when I remember really rehearse the movements, really explore the movements first, then go to the music and go to
it's so true.
Yeah. But on the other side of that, sometimes even with rehearsal, or even if we drop rehearsal, a movement may be happening and I'll literally stop it and say, wow, I never thought of that movement. Maybe we should start over and add that movement in. That was really, really fun. What did you call that movement again? Oh, was that the milling of the flower? Yeah. Oh, I was thinking of milling the flower this way, and you were thinking of doing it this way. And so I'm not afraid to actually restart the whole story. When we're doing the hand, oh, did I forget to rehearse that? I noticed no one's moving here. What did I forget? Did I forget to add something here? What do you think we could do here to make this? I cover my own.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's all about creative thinking and, thinking on your feet, incorporating their ideas. We want it to have that feeling of creativity and improvisation. And I agree. There's no reason for you to feel like you can't stop something and rework it, do it differently. And using their ideas is a great way to get through something that you're like, I don't even know what to do during this spot. What do you want to do? And see what they come up with. It is a great way and they help ignite your imagination too. And they come up with moves like that.
Even
they do different moves.
Green ogre, green ogres are okay. We can incorporate that in, or Elmo, or whatever they want to bring in. That's fine. I can add pink flamingos to anything.
Well, and a lot of times I'll see that they'll incorporate scarves on their own because they've got their little basket, so they'll just reach over and suddenly you're seeing a scarf on the screen and you're like, oh, great idea. Let's put a scarf in there. So
yeah. In fact, you got to sort of wait because they're over here doing this. And you're like, oh, I bet you're doing something to surprise because you have no idea what they're doing over there. And you think that they're just been distracted. No, they're internalizing something.
Yeah.
And you just got to sort of wait.
Yeah.
And then when it comes up, oh, I get it. Oh, I see where you're going with that one. Yeah.
And the scarves are so great because I think giving a little flash of color close to the camera is just good because it kind of brings them into the moment as well. And they love to see that. And, even with the babies, the peekaboo works amazingly online with the babies. I am shocked. But to do this and to go and to sing their name, and they love it, and they're laughing, and the parents are doing it, and I'm doing it. It's sort of just this, it's just everybody's doing it together, and it just works.
What fathers do when they want to cover you.
Yeah.
I'm always amazed that they come up with that idea.
That's a good one. I like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Kind of funny. Some of the things you're talking about, we would like in an in-person class, you try to keep away to the distractions, but with the online class, it's like you're using the distractions to your advantage, kind of thing. Yeah.
Suddenly, distractions are our friends.
Okay, so that's some kind of general guidelines kind of thing. Let's get into some specific activities. I think we said we're going to start with Amy on this. Do I get to participate? Do I have to participate?
Yes, Dad, you have to participate.
Okay. All right.
So yes, I will kick things off. One of my favorite activities ended up being Tumba in the Cycle of Seasons class, because I just decided to turn it into a dance, and I couldn't think of a better way to do it online that week. And so I wrote a little dance, and this sort of is on the heels of, I did a presentation at one of our festivals about movement through the Musikgarten levels, and how, really children are capable of doing some steps, like doing some actual purposeful dances that sometimes we're just getting into in Cycle of Seasons. So I thought I'll explore that we're doing that in Cycle of Seasons, and assign them some specific moves on Tumba, and it ended up being really fun, and it might be a keeper. So I'll do Tumba with you, and I'm going to teach you. I'm going to go to my large camera here, and let me get that switched over so that I can stand up. Here we go. All right, so this is my large movement space. So I'm going to go ahead and teach you the moves, and we'll just sing the song. You guys can mute, and but sing at home so that I'm not singing by myself. But here's backup. So we're going to just go through these moves, and you guys can sing at home. Right now, we're just going to talk through it. And so for the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp the floor. So we're going to stamp really hard, your biggest stamp. And then the other foot, stamp. So that's the first part. That's just tumba, 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 tumba. And I think this is a great opportunity to really incorporate or internalize that steady beat. The next part is tumba, tumba, tumba. Or sometimes I'll turn sideways to show that. Tap, tap, clap. Okay? So first part is tumba, 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 tumba. All right. Then we're going to keep the knee and the clap thing going for the next part. We're going to go don, 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 deary, deary, don. All right. So don, 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 deary, deary, don. Next part, this is when it starts to move kind of fast for them. It's really fun for them to try to incorporate all this. For the deary, deary, the deary, deary, don, we're going to go over. I didn't sing that in the right key, but anyway, we're going to go up and over our heads. We're going to clap 4 times. Ready? Let's try it. Here we go. There we go. That's for the deary, deary, don, don. During the tra-la-la-las, we're going to just big sway. Tra-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la. The last part is turn a little circle, which fits with the music. Turn a little circle. Okay, so we're just going to put on the music, and you're going to have fun with this, and I will lead you. But just to go back through it really quickly, it's just tumba, 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 tumba. Then we have our knees and our clap. Tum, don, 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 deary, deary, don. Then deary, deary, don, tra-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la, turn a little circle. Actually, we're just going to sing this anyway. Here we go. You ready for this? So get your big stomping feet ready. Here we go. And tumba, 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 tumba. Don, 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 deary, deary, don, deary, deary, don. Tra-la-la-la-la, 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 tra-la. And that's it. And when you do it with the recording, it goes through the instrumental part version of it, and we do it anyway. We're still doing the exact same moves, even when it's just the strings, doing that cool pluck thing that they do on Tumba. So that was just one of my movements. We're going to turn this into a dance thing, and so I hope you enjoyed that. So bring it back down to the floor here.
That was fun.
Thanks.
Fun.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, and certainly that can be adapted in so many ways. Like you could do half of those motions. You could add your own personal motions.
Right.
And
it was fun. Yeah, it was fun to watch them get better and better. Like we did it over probably 3 weeks. And you can go slower when you're singing it yourself, so you can slow it down. But it was really fun to watch them really approximate each week, and they roughed it in better and better each week, and it was really pretty neat. Now these were older cycle of seasons. These are not 3s. These are cycle students about to turn 5.
I think you'll do something similar like this when you're in person?
I think I would like to keep it. I'd like to see it in person, to be honest. I'd like to see what it looks like and then maybe decide. But I do enjoy the movement of that. So, and if we're in God's Children Sing, of course, we're going 2 by 2s into the ark. So it's a whole different thing, but which is a blast. But yeah, I think I would try this in the Cycle of Seasons class.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who's up next? Let's see. I think Mary.
Let's see. I wanted to share with you about the dandelion. I had a delightful group of children and parents doing that in the springtime when the dandelions were so prolific. But I introduced it by bringing in my dandelions from outside in the little glass jar and showing them those dandelions. I'm improvising. Very up close and say, oh my goodness. And I would say to them, here, I really want you to smell it. And you'd see them all sniff. Oh my goodness. And then I would also, so the first week I did this, there was only yellow dandelions. I said, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm just going to put them over there. And then, so we barely did anything with them the first week. I just showed them the dandelions and showed them, where I was going to put them in my room. They're going to be sitting over there. The next week, as you all can guess, like 3 of them had turned into the, so you guys, I still have my dandelions. Did you find some dandelions, out in your yard? And everybody say, oh yeah, I saw a dandelion. Then I brought the puffballs over so we could blow on them together. So I brought it up again the same way and I went, look, oh my gosh, let's blow on it. Are you ready? Okay, everybody get close. 1, 2, 3, and I would blow, and all of a sudden you'd see, stuff taking off. What are those things anyway? And then one child said, I think they're seeds. I said, what? Oh my gosh! And I would show them the floor. I'm gonna have dandelions growing all over my living room next week. Do you think that'll be okay? Don't tell my husband. Okay, so we would just play with the idea of the dandelion. Then we went into the whole story, just like you would in the classroom. I made them, so when in my studio here, this home studio, I have my computer on a stand, a music stand, and I would only use one camera. So I would just go and get on the floor, and then I'd grab the bottom and go, and now I'm up here. And that worked very effectively to do this kind of thing where we're getting up and down. So in our story, of course, I got down and we started doing that movement of, how about the leaves popping out? So we're all down like this. And then the rain stick sound starts and we all began putting out this, arms, legs. I said, oh my gosh, look at the leaves. And we're all on the floor like this. I said, uh-oh, here comes the stem with a little bud on it. How slowly can you go up, up, up? You're looking for the sunshine. Oh, look how slowly you are going. Oh, I wonder how long it's going to take. Oh my goodness. And then by then I'm like up here going, and boom! Uh-oh, this dandelion is going to make more. Here it comes. Boom! Oh no, there's another one. Boom! Ah, boom! It's like fireworks. Boom! When I did this and we turned on the music and listened, I always stopped the music before the drying up sound and say to them, the next sound is really weird because the dandelion is about to do something weird. It bloomed. It was smiling at the sun. And all of a sudden, oh, and drying out. Oh no, 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 no. Wait a minute. What's happening? What was the dandelion doing? And the kids would all go, what? What? And then I showed them the dandelion with the little brown things on them. I said, it was making seeds. Oh, those are the seeds. Yes. So then we would go ahead and do that. And then I would say, uh-oh, you've turned into a big puffball. Here comes the wind. And I would have them all make the wind sound. And away we would blow. So practicing all the movements and talking about all the little things that happen. And I've kind of, I skipped some of that beginning word that starts out like that. But I just was amazed at how they got into it through this format. It wasn't hard at all. It translated instantly into moving the whole story. But having a few close-up visuals, having them participate in blowing, sniffing, and just hearing them say what they thought was going on was hilarious and so much fun.
I love that. That's we did a similar thing, but I just love what you did at the beginning, and the idea that you would have it there and that you could blow it, and they right when they were blowing. That's like the miracle of online teaching. I love that. And mine ended up with I highlighted, the one thing that I highlighted in that dance that I hadn't really highlighted before was that we all became one seed. And you know how the bump saving parachute, idea of in the poetry. So we all had parachutes. So we all ended up like this because we were like holding onto our parachutes. And then we talked about what we were, oh, look, I see some cows. Oh, look. And we were floating over different things as we were floating down to the ground and then finally settling it at the end. And that was the one thing that I feel like I changed this time, but that's just beautiful. I love that. I'm sure they had a great time.
They had a lot of fun. I think the parents also had a different view of dandelions out in your yard. Maybe there was something magical about them after all.
There is.
Yes, and you could also include a Bebop Bootsman moment. All right, everyone, go outside, get that one, go to your neighbor's lawn. Yes, then run away as fast as you can.
I do think that fits, Ellen, completely. Here's a Bebop movement. That's it. That's the moment. That's great.
Yeah, we're so we're verbing, I think. We're turning into we're going to Bebop boots on someone. Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're verbing.
That is really, really cute. That's so much fun.
What fun music too. And I just love it so much. And, just so delightfully told through the beautiful music of Howard Bear.
Oh, yeah.
So what about you, Ellen?
I think we're going to talk about Marche Militaire, a similar thing. One of the difficulties of teaching the keyboard program online was getting those kids back on the floor, because they're older and they're going to sit at that piano and basically let it, come on them. So I found that the movement had to be almost between every activity. And so I made a point of making sure that they always had a space when we were doing drumming or dancing or anything, that I would immediately say, I need everybody on the floor like me, because they wanted to do it in a chair. And that's just not how we do it. Now, in the beginning, I was doing it on a chair, and then I suddenly went, what am I doing here? And when I got back to the floor, suddenly it made all sense to do it on the floor. But for Marche Militaire, as we know, the dance is rather complicated, because it's a multi-partner dance. You know that second in part B where one line is staying and the other line's moving to the new partner, but that's not happening. They don't have a new partner. Now, I was lucky enough to have parents who were willing to come running from whatever they were doing for the Marche Militaire. So that really was helpful. So I'm using the same rehearsal technique. So I would tell everyone, let's all stand up, everyone. And off we would go. We would stand. And I would begin by, we need to show a very straight posture. And it doesn't, and the parent next to him, then I would go, now we will march, and now we will march, and now we'll march, and then we'll all turn around. Marching, a marching, and turn around. And I'd wait. Marching and marching, get close as you can. Do, day, da, do, day, do, day, do, day, do. Now, when we got to this point, I would do it as an echo. Do, day, da, do, day, do, day, do, and I'd watch. Yeah, and I muted them. I would mute them and I would watch, and I would quote here, and then go, do, day, do, and I'd wait. Now, if they had a parent, then I would go, do, day, do. But there was always one child that didn't have a parent, so then I would then do it with them. Do, day, do, day, do, day, do, day, do, day, do. Do, day, do, day, do. Clap, clap, and stamp. Let's do it again, and we'll march, and then we will march, and then we'll march, and then we'll slowly turn around and march. Marching, we're marching, and turn around. Marching and marching back to me. Do, day, do, day, do, day, do. Do, day, do, day, do, day, da, do, day, do, clap, clap, and stamp. All right, that part is okay so far, but now comes the two-line, how do we do this? So now I would go do, clap, clap, and they continue to hold, side, step, side, step. All right, here we go. Clap, 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 pat, hold, side, step, clap, clap, pat, hold, side, step, clap, clap, pat, hold, side, step, clap, clap, pat, and we start over. All right, so that was the basis of how I did it. And then I'd put on the music and we'd go through the whole thing, and I watched the parents could keep up. If not, they'd just stop and watch and then catch up. So I began to rely on the fact that these children had a lot of experience in dancing with me, that they knew that the steps were doable, and I had participating parents. I have to admit, the side to side was much easier than doing that circular thing we used to do. And I'm even wondering if I'm going to do that circular thing anymore in my class, because inevitably a parent would be like, oh my God, I can't figure this out. This is so embarrassing. And now it's not even a matter of embarrassment. They can do this at home. By the third week, I had no rehearsal. I just put it on. And they knew exactly what to do. It was like, off we did. And they would all at the end wait. And I tell you, the synchronicity of the final moment was always great. So we should not be afraid of these dances in the older. If they're more complex, yes, you can turn them into, just get rid of any of the thing that is a quote with multiple partners, and just keep doing it with the same partner.
That is so fun. I love that idea of the sidestep. That just made my day.
That just changed my dance.
Right? Yeah.
Good way. Yeah, that looked like a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, they couldn't wait to do it. The book 5. Now, book 6, it goes into with drums, and that's fine. You can do that, but I know they're all going to want to do it the other way as well. So
yeah, definitely.
When I saw this one on the list, I wondered how you're going to do it, because I've done this at festival with you guys, and it's a complex dance to do. So yeah.
Well, it
You're
has
an overachiever, Ellen.
Artist dance is easy.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I love that. And in the music, there was always that little hesitation before it starts. There's a little rubato, a little stretching of the phrase.
Yes.
Always such a challenge to match that. But
Well,
yeah.
in rehearsal, you add that little bit. Then when the music hits, they've already experienced the bit of the in.
I love that. It's almost like teaching them a breath, that could be a whole other podcast as well. Like things that we incorporate in movement and singing that teaches them, how to phrase, let's say when they're playing the piano, at the end of that or right before that, taking that breath, before you begin.
Now, Musikgarten students, they know it, because when you say we need to broaden, and they've done it with Dandelion, they've done it with Rain and Sun, the story of the man jumping into the pool. They don't have to remember the stories, but they do remember the movement. And yeah, I continue to use them, and in fact, I'll often have the children, while one child is playing, the other children are showing where it needs to slow down.
Right. And they've been doing it since they were toddlers and babies.
Yeah, they don't think twice.
It's in them.